division sucks.
This is the best division in football, Tori.
Take that step back. We are seeing the true quarterback that he really is, which he is not a very good quarterback.
Welcome to the Man Now, where we taking over. It's time to give you them facts. Won't miss a game or two, cause we here for you and we reporting all of them stats. We coming to you live to keep you updated. Broadcast across the country, we the fan favorites. Break the volume to the max and don't nobody touch it. We cross the topics off the list, addressing every subject. So if you ain't got a clue, then you can tune in and give it 24 hours and we back again. Breaking news, new scoops, we the top dogs. From the fields to the courts, we report it all. Buzzer beat us through your speakers, we the ones to call. Trust us for the news if it's got a ball. Giving you the top stories cause we love the turf. Tell a friend to tune in and where you heard it first. Yeah, you're listening to the Man Now. We taking over, it's time to give you them stats. Yeah, you listen to the Man Now. Miss a game or two cause we reporting all of them facts. Yeah, you listen to the Man Now. We taking over, it's time to give you them facts. Turn the speakers up a little loud. Miss a game or two cause we reporting all of them stats. Cause you listen to the Man Hour.
And what is up, Man Hour Nation? Michael Buckasher here with the Man Hour. Be sure to head over to manhourradio.com and check out the merchandise page. We got the fresh new merch over there. We got some BC merch. My man BC over there falling asleep. We got the Man Hour Team Buck merch. We got the original logo merch there. If you guys don't know what the original logo is, it was very, very old school, but the new logo down at the bottom right of your screen, ooh, mamma mia, that is so sexy, Combsy. Speaking of sexy, I do got the sexiest co-host ever to walk this face of the earth, the peanut butter in my ladies, the jam in my marshmallow puff, Brandon Beastie Combs. What's going on, Combs? Hey.
You just make shit up as you go, don't you?
Oh, 100%.
What is going on, Michael Buckeister? What is going on, Man Hour Nation? What is going on, Belly Up Sports? Everybody listening to us, if you have not yet done so, make sure you click like, share, and subscribe on whichever platform you are watching us on. Man, we got a lot to touch on. There's a lot of stuff I want to talk about tonight.
Yeah, well, there is a lot of stuff to talk about, but what I really want to talk about first, Combs, is, man, that beard that you have happening, like, how do you keep that so lined up and so fresh, man? Like, it is the most sexiest thing ever.
I just, I kind of do it on my own. Take a shower and then I shave, line it up, go to sports clips once every 2 weeks, get a fresh haircut.
I have not had a haircut in 3 months and I still look very, very clean.
Well, that's because you're bald, so it's different.
True. That is very, very true. Speaking of bald, Lia Thomas, private parts are very, very bald, Combs, because this man is now a woman. And if you guys don't know anything about Lia Thompson Thomas, Lia Thomas used to be a man. I don't even know his name anymore. But
it was William.
Okay, well, he competed in a women's freestyle collegiate championship and ultimately got first place. So the big issue about this, Combs, is when he was he was ranked 453rd ranked swimmer in the college realm. But when he became a she became a number one overall female. So, Combs, just to put some aspect into this, about 3-4 months ago, when all this stuff started happening, I follow swimming for some weird deal, but whatever, I digress. From that, I put a poll up on the old Twitter, and I said, should transgender athletes have their own sport, right? And it was overwhelming that people said no. People said no, they should compete in the classification that they classified themselves as. So if a man classifies as a woman, he should be able to compete in women's sports. But now you turn on Facebook, Combs, or Twitter or Reddit or Discord or whatever else, everybody's like, oh, we need a transgender this, transgender that. Why? Should Lia Thompson or William Thomas, since he still has a big old flaming cock in his face, should he still be able to compete in the women's competition?
Well, I'm not going to take it to the level that you just did, but what I am going to say is this, and I've had this conversation with people, and look, I've got friends in the LGBTQ community. I've got friends who are gay. I've got friends who are bi. I've got friends who are trans. And while I support their decisions and while I support their right to be who they are, that comes with some sort of sacrifice, right? Like everything that they've been through in their life, it does require some sort of sacrifice. And when it comes to this standard, for sure, there should be a transgender division. If you are going to be competing in sports, there should be a transgender division. Now, the way that I explain it to people that I've argued with is, look, when it comes down to it, 100 years from now, when William Thomas is dead and gone, and if somebody were to dig up his remains, they would ask you, was he a male or was he a female? And they're going to look at the genitalia, and they're going to tell you what he was. He was a male at birth, okay? Identifies as a female. That's fine. But, so I play softball, right? I've played a lot of softball over the years, and we have a men's league, we have a women's league, and we have a co-ed league. I'll tell you right now, there are some women that I've played with in the co-ed league and some women that I've watched in the women's league that are better than a lot of men that have played in men's league that I've played with, including myself. There are girls out there that I would have no shame of if I'm out on a diamond and we're just picking teams, if somebody were to pick her over me. Like it's just a fact. Look, there are women that can be a better athlete and better at some sports than some men, right? But there's a reason why there's a women's league, a men's league, and then a co-ed league. The women aren't allowed to play in the men's league. Even though they're better than some of the men that are in that league, they're not allowed to be in that league. Just like those men who aren't as good in the men's league aren't allowed to go over to the women's league and dominate in the women's league, right? But we can all play together in the co-ed league. You alter a little bit of rules. You do what you got to do to make it fair. And that is where it comes into it, right? Because there are certain things in life that men can do that women just can't, right? There are certain physical attributes that men have that women will never have. Just like there's certain physical attributes that women have that men will never have, including the ability to give birth. Look, I had kidney stones once, and I called every woman I have ever known in my entire life and apologized for them to have to go through childbirth because I sort of understand the pain at that point. But you can't have a man who is whatever he was ranked. They say I've seen all sorts of things. I've seen some people say he was ranked 11th in a certain thing. He was ranked 450th overall in men's, blah, blah, blah. Now he's number one weight, whatever. Okay. The fact of the matter is that it shouldn't have been allowed to happen. And on the other hand, it was allowed to happen. There were no rules against it. The NCAA said, hey, you can swim as a woman. You identify as a woman, you can swim as a woman. And she went out and she dominated. Okay, so that's that. Well, I wouldn't even say dominated. She won by I think a second and a half. I think if you looked at another division, another event, there was another woman who won by 8 seconds. Right. Like it wasn't even close. So to say that she dominated is a little far-fetched, but I get where the point's going. Now, that being said, if my 12-year-old son or 12-year-old daughter is playing baseball or softball in Little League, and they're not as good as all the other 12-year-olds, they don't get to go play down at the 8-year-old division. They don't get to switch just because of this or because of that. And like I said, while I support everything that Lia Thomas, who used to be William Thomas, is all about and who she feels who she is and what she identifies as, I am completely okay with that. However, when was the last time we saw a transgender female who is now becoming a male compete in a male sport?
Well, because let's just be honest, most of them are not athletical people because they've been ridiculed their whole lives. So therefore, they're like emo and going to paint my fingernails black and snort acid, right? Like, so they're not really an athletic specimen per se. Like, I'm not trying to dog anybody, but that's just the way it is. But Combs, I have heard everything that, as you said. I've seen what people have said on Facebook and Twitter and Reddit and like all that crap. And I was going to troll, but because I am the king troll. Let's just be flat out honest about that. But when it comes down to it, Combs, the reason why this is happening is because I'm going to call my cousin out. I'm not going to drop her name, but she is like the quote boss bitch, right? She is all about these women rights and like women are better than men and like all this crap. And the white male is the bottom spectrum of everything, and the women are so up here. So, you know what? I was going to bash Lia Thompson or Thomas, I should say, about wanting to become a girl and all this other stuff. But the truth of the fact of the matter is, if women think they're so much better than everybody else, put them in the same competition as like everybody else. I'm going to call a spade here. Just because I am a white man, I am 6'2", 225 pounds, right? But and then a woman's 5'5" walking down the street, 110 pounds. If we challenge each other to a boxing match, I'm going to whoop her butt, right? Just because the fact of the matter, just because she thinks she's a boss-ass bitch and can independent and all this other crap, get out of here with like with that. I don't care about that. If you want to be a man, step up to be a man. Like Combs, this takes me back to my days when I dated psycho bitches. Let's just be flat out honest. They were psycho bitches, right? The pussy was great, but man, they're fucking crazy, right? Man, this girl had the audacity to jack me in the jaw, and I'm like looking at her like, "Are you done?" And like she's like, "What do you mean?" Like, well, my mom told me if a woman wants to act like a man, treat her like a man. So do you want me to knock you out now or knock you out later? So I mean, like I never put my hands on her, but by golly, it took everything I had in me not to knock that bitch out. Let's just be flat out honest. But so the biggest issue that I have about this whole Lia thing is that there has to be some type of transformational period, right? Because if you look at the picture, looks pretty manly, right? Looks like had Adam's apple was getting ready to explode out of her like her throat. Those balls are getting ready to drop down to her knees, and let's just be flat out honest. She's like what, 6'3", probably pretty tall girl, right? And she won by a second and a half. You said, I do believe. Yeah, so doesn't that 6'3" frame versus a 5'8" frame kind of give you an advantage there? I mean, I don't know. Like,
sure,
I'm
but
so over this crap.
It's not like there's only short women that are athletes, right? Because you look at the WNBA, you look at college basketball, Brittany Griner, you look at women like that who are tall and who are still athletes. So look, I mean, you took it to a whole lot of places there, but
live, raw, and uncut, baby. That's how we do.
It's not like let me ask you a question. Would, for the people who feel like Lia Thomas did not gain an advantage in this competition, would they feel the same way if their daughter, who felt like he was a man, decided that they wanted to try MMA? Would they have the same feelings about transgenders going to the sport in which they identify in? Because I'm telling you right now, that would not end very well. And I'm not saying that there's not a woman out there that because look, I'm telling you right now, you bring any of these, you bring any of these women that are in the UFC, they would destroy me in a fight. Facts. But I am talking about world-class athletes.
Right.
Okay. Now we take a world-class athlete, and let's just say Ronda Rousey. Okay. Mm-hmm. Ronda Rousey is a world-class athlete, champion. Like, nobody could beat her for the longest time, right? Like, she was a dominant woman in her sport. Okay. Would you want to see Ronda Rousey go up against, let's say, I'm trying to think of not a heavyweight champion because obviously that wouldn't be fair.
Let's just say our dude that we just interviewed. Your
Well, yeah, but
boy.
he was a heavyweight. Let's talk about, let's say, would you want to see her go up against one of
Bones
the
Jones.
Sanchez brothers, Diego Sanchez? Would you want to see her go up against Diego Sanchez? He's a smaller guy than she is, but I like you wouldn't want to see that, and that's what I'm trying to get at, is that you can't say that it's okay for one side but not okay for the other side. That is why there needs to be a transgender division. That is why there needs to be some rules for the society that we're living in now, where this is becoming more prevalent in our country, right? There are more people coming out more and more every day being transgender. And again, unlike Buck, I don't find anything wrong with it, but you've got to be able to separate, and there are sacrifices you have to make to do that, and you have to understand that, and that comes to sports too. That's a sacrifice you need to make. Look, I can't compete in the men's division, I can't compete in the women's division, I have to compete in the transgender division. That way it's fair.
Yeah, like, let's not get that twisted, Combs. Like, I don't have a problem with a man becoming a woman or a woman becoming a man, because I can think from my high school right now that I have 3 or 4 people that have transitioned one way or the other. So every time I see Helen's name on my Facebook, like, I don't know this person. I have to think back. Oh, that's Howard, right? So I mean, like, it is just it doesn't bother me one way or the other. But like, looking back to like high school, I'm like, man, that kind of makes sense now, right? But let's take your MMA analogy here. Let's say you have a 13-year-old daughter now, or 12?
14.
14. Wow, you're shrewd. So she's 14 years old. Let's say she starts to wrestle, right? And then there's a 14-year-old boy that has been a boy for 13 years of his life. The last 6 months, he's like, oh, I feel like I'm a woman. And that 14-year-old boy beats the living crap out of her. There's going to be one pissed off daddy and going to whoop that kid's ass, right?
Yeah,
let's just be honest about it. Let's just be flat out honest about it. But
it goes along the same lines as the transgender, the bathrooms, right? Where you go into some restaurants and they don't have a men or a woman's, and men can use the women's room. That's another thing that I feel like there needs to be some rules about, right? Because if I walk into a bathroom, or if my daughter walks into a bathroom and some freaking dude is sitting there watching her go to the bathroom, I'm not going to be very happy about it.
Well,
there needs to be certain guidelines to this type of stuff, and in the sports aspect of it, there definitely needs to be a guideline to it. And it's funny because as soon as you said the name Lia Thomas, I watched the little eye in the corner that shows our viewers. It started out at something like 8 or 9, and then went 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2.
Right. So let's go ahead and bring up this comment from my man Alpha Rob. He says the problem is no one is telling these people the truth, and they lie to them. They need mental help. So
see that I can't agree with you there, Rob. Now look. There are certain mentalities that I can subscribe to, and then there's certain mentalities that I can't subscribe to. And one of them is that we don't know what is going on in somebody's body. We don't know what is going on in somebody's head. So just because somebody is different and somebody feels different doesn't mean that they necessarily need mental help, right? I mean, people will tell you all the time that you've heard all sorts of stories, right? Mozart might have been autistic. You look at people that were geniuses, were back in the old days in the 17 and 1800s, were thought to be mentally ill and mentally challenged because they thought differently than everybody else. You don't know what is going on inside of somebody's head. You don't know what is going on inside of somebody's body, and to ridicule them and to make them feel like something is wrong with them just because of how they feel. I mean, that's a bad picture to paint. So I just can't agree with that comment there from Alpha Rob. That's all.
Well, and see, I got to kind of go on the latter side of this. Like, I kind of agree with Alpha Rob to an extent. Just because, you know, one of my friends that I know, or I shouldn't say the words friends, like the acquaintance, right, from high school that I know, he officially had his cock chopped off, right? It is no longer gone. He chopped it off and fluffed it inside. So with that being said, he had to go through, he had to talk to a therapist for, I think, for three years before the doctor would permanently cut off his penis and make it into a vagina. So Alpha Rob is on to something here, because if you want to go fully transition, go all in. Just don't put on a girl's swimming suit and tuck your balls up like in there, right? Have some boobs, chop that baby off, and then you can compete in the women's.
Well, first of all, I mean, those surgeries are very intense and very expensive.
Right.
Second thing is that we've spent a little over a year and a half about on the Man Hour working this thing up, and it all just got undone in 20 minutes of the show on March 21st, 2022.
Yeah, well, Combs, like, if we really think about this, a man's body will always have more testosterone than a girl's body, right?
I agree. Look, I don't know the science, because Lia Thomas has gone through 2 years of intense hormone regeneration, what they call it.
Was still a man for 18 years.
I don't know the science, but I don't know the science behind that. I don't fully understand what it takes and what it does to the body. Now, look, that being said, we've also got a whole era of baseball of people altering their bodies that is looked down upon and not allowed in the Hall of Fame because they were altering their bodies, and now it's against the rules.
True.
So how is completely altering your body from one gender to another not against the rules? I don't get it. Like, I agree there needs to be their own division. I don't subscribe to the same, ideas about this particular subject that you and Alpha Rob do, though.
Well, also on the other side of the coin, let's take, just because like right now we are talking about a man to a girl, but let's talk a girl to a man. So if that woman wants to compete in a man's division, right, she will be doing testosterone. She'll be getting hormone therapy and like all that other stuff. So therefore, her peak performance is going to be a lot better than some of those man peak performances, because the steroids don't only help you recover faster, but they help you put on muscle. They change your body. They help you grow in more ways than one. So how is that fair?
I'm gonna look. We've already taken it all the way there, so I'm gonna take it all the way there even further. There once was a comedian who asked a question to the crowd, right? And he said, "All right, guys, listen. You take a woman home from the club, you get her into your bedroom. You're getting the best blowjob you've ever gotten in your entire life, ever. Like, it is mind-blowingly good. You go and you reach up to go grab a cup of feel, and you grab a set of balls. Do you let her finish?"
You are already there. You might as well.
I mean, so that's what I'm saying. Like, you guys have to understand that there are people who have their own mindsets, right? Like, we can joke. I can joke about anything. Like, literally, I will joke about anything. I've heard some of the worst jokes that you have ever heard in your entire life. Jokes that make me cringe for even knowing them, right?
Yeah.
Because I just have that mentality. I have that sense of humor. Not one thing in this world offends me. Nothing offends. There are things like that I dislike. Like, I don't like child abusers. I don't like people who sexually abused women or children. I don't like that shit. But nothing offends me. I know jokes about both of them. Like that. Yeah. That's the thing. Like, so it takes a certain mentality, but you have to understand that not, as a matter of fact, we are the minority when it comes to that. There are far more people that are about to listen to this that are going to get offended.
Oh, yeah.
then there are people that are going to agree with us.
Let me tell you why, though, because people get offended because that's a cool thing to do right now.
Yes, and people get offended, and people will do that stuff because they've been allowed to, and they've been told that it's okay to, and they've been pandered to, and all that stuff. I get it. But again, when it comes to people that are, in the LGBTQ community, their opinions and their feelings and it's not a mental illness. It's not something mentally wrong with them. It's how they feel. It's who they feel that they are. Just like you, Buck, you might feel like you got about 6 inches, but we really know you're only packing about 3.5 inches of heat. I mean,
Shoot, on a warm day.
It's the Irish curse, right? Like,
exactly.
I mean, we're huge in Asia. That counts for something, right? So let everybody be who they want to be, and without passing judgment, without calling them mentally ill.
Yeah, so speaking of who they want to be, Davante Adams, he said, F you Packers, I don't care if you offer me more money or not. I'm going to Las Vegas to play with my college boy, Mr. Derek Carr. And that's exactly what happened, man. So, Combs, Davante Adams is officially out in Packerland, packing his bag and going to Vegas. And I hear a stipulation on his contract is he does have to have a felony by October 1st. Does Davante Adams make the Las Vegas Raiders a playoff team? No, they're already a playoff team. Does it make them a championship team? AFC championship game.
Well, look, I believe that the AFC West has had the best offseason that I can remember at all. I mean, these teams are just beefing up, and I don't care who the Broncos get as their quarterback. They can get Russell Wilson. They can get fucking Russell Westbrook. They can go ahead and get Russell Crowe for all I care. They are going to be the worst team in this division. What these teams have done in the AFC West, what the Chiefs have done, what the Raiders have done, and what the Chargers have done, far outweighs Russell Wilson to Denver. So they're not even going to be a factor in this division. The Raiders, not just picking up Davante Adams, because that was a huge. I mean, you just picked up the best receiver in football, and not only did you pick up the best receiver in football, you put him back with his college quarterback, somebody who he's very comfortable with, somebody who's very comfortable throwing the ball to him. And you've made him happy. You've taken him out of a situation where, let's face it, he's been in purgatory for the last 3 seasons, right? Because of all the situations and all the drama that he's had to deal with Aaron Rodgers. And I'm coming back. I'm not coming back. Oh, this is crap. Blah, blah. Right. All that weight is lifted off of him. And now he is going to the Las Vegas Raiders and on a team that I'm telling you, they might be the best team in the AFC West right now.
The best team in the West is kind of a stretch, Combs, just because the West is so loaded. And what scares me about that is the Raiders. What have they done the last 3 or 4 years, Combs? They start off hot, 7-2, 8-1, right? They've been on top of the world. Everybody's top 10 power rankings. Raiders are going Super Bowl, and then the last 8 games of the season they limp in there, right? I mean, last year somehow they made the playoffs by some miracle way. I think the Ravens had to lose by 10 points, and that's exactly what happened. Like, basically they stuck their way into the playoffs and ultimately got their butt kicked by the Bengals here. But Davante Adams to the Raiders actually makes the Raiders worse, I think, just because. Hear me out here. So I think the Davante Adams to the Raiders makes them worse, just because what really helped the Las Vegas Raiders last season was the ability to run the ball. Just because you see all these high flying offenses, like the Chiefs and the Chargers and the Bengals, right? What helps them was being able to control the clock, run the ball, nickel and dime it down the field. Now you have Davante Adams, arguably the best receiver in all of football. Don't get that wrong. But when you cannot nickel and dime down the field and you're consistently going for that deep ball threat, that exposes their defense, and their defense just isn't very good. I mean, you can say what they
What?
want. The defense is not very good.
They just picked up Chandler Jones to go on the other side of Max Crosby. They picked up Bilal Nichols. What in the hell are you talking about? This is the best front seven in this division, and that includes a team that has Khalil Mack and Joey Bosa.
No, they are the worst front seven in this league. No, their defense is not very good. Max Crosby is a great player. Max Crosby
Chandler
might be the
Jones
third best.
On the other side of him?
There's a reason why the Cardinals let Chandler Jones go.
Dude.
There's a reason why.
As soon as the Raiders went and got Chandler Jones, Russell Wilson really thought about going back to Seattle.
No, he didn't.
Dude, Chandler Jones, nobody has sacked a quarterback more than Chandler Jones and sacked Russell Wilson, except for, I believe, one other quarterback in the league.
It helps when they play twice a year, though. I mean, that is a stat that does lie to you.
Russell Wilson nightmares. And not only that, but then you got Jonathan Abram as a safety. You've got who's the other kid that they had there? The middle linebacker. What the hell's his name? Micah Kaiser. Who's the other safety they had? It's Trayvon something. I can't remember. But that, I'm telling you right now, the Raiders are the best team in the AFC West. I really the Chiefs are the third best team in the West.
I'm not saying the Chiefs are the best, Combs. I'm not saying that.
So who's the best team in the West?
The Chargers. Chargers are the best right now in the West.
But I'll give you an argument between the Chargers and the Raiders, but it's clearly between those two teams. I do like that they have Joey Bosa. I do like that they added Khalil Mack. You got that other guy who's got that really long name, Agbenagamiga or whatever the hell his name is, probably from Hawaii, because they all have those really.
So he probably played at Notre Dame too, right?
Probably, and had a fake girlfriend that nobody ever saw. But look, Asante Samuel, Derwin James, those guys are all over there in San Diego, well, Los Angeles, sorry, but. I still that Raiders team, man, that Raiders offense, I think is superior to the Chargers offense. I still think their defense is superior to the Chargers defense. So I highly disagree. I think the Raiders are hands down the best team in the AFC West.
So let me ask you this question, because we have never seen a division have all four teams make the playoffs, but now with three wild cards and a championship, you can in theory have four teams from the same division make the playoffs. Do all four teams from the AFC West make the playoffs?
No, I don't think the Broncos are that good. I really don't.
Yeah.
I know they added Russell Wilson, but I don't feel like they made enough headway. I think they gave up too much for Russell Wilson. You lost Noah Fant. I don't see a situation where the Denver Broncos make the playoffs this year. So I think 3 out of the 4 can, though.
Yeah, like I was a firm believer that the Denver Broncos were a quarterback away from being a playoff caliber team, but that was before they gave away the farm, right? And
they were
I don't think
quarterback away.
Yeah, and I kind of think Russell Wilson was the guy. But with that being said, I'm going to say no as well, just because they're going to beat each other up so much during the regular season that whoever wins that division and whoever makes the wild card from that division at like as well, they're going to be so battered and bruised that they're probably going to be first round exits anyway, so it doesn't really matter like at all. So I'm going to tell you right now, the AFC Super Bowl representative will not come from the AFC West next season, just because of how stacked this division is.
I might agree with you there, just because of Buffalo, because of Cincinnati. And because of Cleveland getting Deshaun Watson, I really think that there is a good chance that the AFC representative does not come out of the West. God, that's such a tough one, because you look at this team, and I know how the AFC is so good. It's so stacked. There's no wonder Aaron Rodgers stayed in the NFC.
Yeah, I mean that's the reason why. I mean he didn't go anywhere else, just because at the time of he signing his contract, Tom Brady was still retired. Russ just left, right, and then who else quarterback was there? You had Jimmy G, you had Sam Darnold.
Well, then
right?
Brady came back, so now all of a sudden your chances went down a little bit. But I mean, in the AFC, I mean, look at even Buffalo just got better at Von Miller.
Yeah.
To that defense.
Speaking of Buffalo, our man like Alpha Rob says, the Buffalo Bills are winning the Super Bowl this year.
You know what? I would pick the Bills to win the AFC. I would put a bet down on it. I don't know that I would put a bet down on them to win the Super Bowl for one reason and one reason only. And that one reason is Tom Brady. And right. I think he's coming back. I think he's on the mission. I think he wants to. I think he retires after this year for good. And I think it's because he wants to go out on top. And the last time that we seen Tom Brady on a mission was that year he got suspended for Deflategate, suspended for four games. They went, I believe it was 2-2 in those 4 games, and then they finished out the season 14-2, and they won the Super Bowl. I just think Tom Brady's on a mission, and I said it all year last year. I've said it for probably about the last 15 years now. I will never bet against Tom Brady. So if I had to bet on anybody to win the Super Bowl this year, I'm going with Tampa Bay.
Yeah, and let's look at the Buffalo Bills. They cut Cole Beasley,
who's going to be with the Buccaneers playing for Tom Brady because he's just like Edelman. Like Edelman.
Yeah, so I think that was one of the dumbest things you guys could have possibly done. You signed Von Miller to a stupid contract. Was it 4 years, 120 million Combs or something like that?
That's a good contract.
It's a stupid contract.
Von Miller. Why would you not give that to Von Miller? One of the best pass rushers in the game.
Why would you?
Because he's one of the best pass rushers in the game.
How is he one of the best? He was injured all of 2020. He was injured most of 2021 until he went to the Rams. And then when he was there, he was only effective because Aaron Donald was on the other side of the ball. Who do the Buffalo Bills have?
Do you think the Bills front seven is garbage or something?
I'm not saying they're garbage, but they're no Aaron Donald.
Having the best front seven in the game.
No, we had that. It was the best defense. The front seven, no. But when you just look at the front four. We can just look at the front four. Von Miller excelled in L.A. because he had great people around him. He had Aaron Donald, and then that who was the nose tackle?
Dude, you've got Shaq Lawson. You've got Russo, who's on the other end of Shaq Lawson. Then your defensive tackles in Buffalo. I can't remember Oliver and Daquan. I can't remember his last name. And then not only that, but then you add Tremaine Edmonds and Matt Milano with Von Miller. Like, dude, if this isn't the best front seven in football, I don't know what is.
Wait till Kansas City Chiefs drafts, baby. But my man Carson Lang says, Josh Allen, I'd take the Bills to the promised land. So, see, I don't trust Josh Allen yet. I don't know. I mean, he's a great talent. He has great arm talent. He makes great throws, great decisions. But without Cole Beasley on the field, they have Stephon Diggs and who else do they have as receivers? Like, I don't think they who else do they have? They had to tie.
He said, "I don't trust you." They got Jamison Crowder, Stephon Diggs. They've got Dawson Knox at tight end.
Knox,
I mean,
Knox
got
is
weapons.
Good guy.
They've got weapons. They're
running
really
game.
good. What are you talking about? They got no running game. They got 2 very good running backs in Buffalo. They got Singletary
that they don't use,
and Zach Moss. I believe the third string running back is even Duke Johnson, who used to be a starter for the damn Houston Texans. Like they've got
Duke Johnson, the starter for the Houston Texans. Good job, man. Wasn't Duke Johnson a part of the D-Hop trade from Arizona to Houston and like a 6th round pick or something?
I think so.
Yeah,
I think so. It was stupid. But no, I think you're looking at it all wrong. I think you're trying to troll and trying to push buttons and trying to get Alpha
Me?
Rob's goat and trying to get
Me?
Carson to come at you a little bit here and trying to get them all riled up. But to think that Buffalo isn't to me, they're the best team in the AFC. You could argue that fact. They're arguably the best team in the AFC. But they're damn good, man. And Buffalo is not a team that I want to see, especially in the playoff series.
You know what? You just told me that Buffalo Bills are the best team in the AFC, right? Mm-hmm. They are going to represent the AFC in the Super Bowl in 2022 football season.
I said I would bet on it. Yeah, I'd put money on it.
So, are you forgetting about the New England Patriots, Combs? Like, you lived in the Vermont area for 18 years, right? Are you forgetting about the New England Patriots? They have a second-year quarterback in the name of Mac Jones. 2 full years underneath Bill Belichick being the man. Mac Jones is going to come out and light the AFC up. Or, sorry, not the AFC, but the AFC East up. The Buffalo Bills won't even win their division, Combs, let alone represent the team in the AFC. If I'm going to put money on an AFC team that is not in the AFC West, because I don't think anybody from the AFC West is going to represent, it is going to be the Cleveland Browns, Combs. There, I said it. I'm buying the Cleveland Browns. Buying the Cleveland Browns stock. I don't know why. I think I just threw up in my mouth a little bit.
How about the Cleveland Browns? Every year we say that about the Cleveland Browns, right? They just got so much better. They're going to be good. No, look, the Cleveland Browns just told Deshaun Watson, look, we don't care about 22 women saying that you sexually assaulted them. We don't care. Here's $230 million. Just come be our quarterback. You can help us win football games. We don't care about sexual assault or any of that. Just here. That's why we got. Look, you can hang out with Kareem Hunt. You guys can just do what you want to women. It's all good.
Wow.
Just do what you got to do.
So if you guys don't know, obviously Deshaun Watson pulled his name out of the hat to go to Cleveland, and they're like, you know what? Money buys everything. They threw $230 million at Deshaun Watson, and he said, where do I sign? So the Cleveland Browns released Jarvis Landry. They picked up Amari Cooper in a trade. They picked up the Deshaun Watson. They still have Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt, and their tight end, I don't remember his name, never do. But they're still missing
the Patriots didn't get Deshaun Watson, though.
So let me ask you this question, Combs. With all those pieces added, Cooper and Watson, maybe they can find a number 2 or number 3 receiver in the draft. Aren't the Cleveland Browns the favorite now easly just because you think Watson is a top 5 quarterback in the NFL?
I do.
Amari Cooper is a top 10 receiver in the NFL. Makes sense.
I think now they are one of the top teams in the AFC. I was joking when I said that. I'm surprised the Patriots didn't get him. I just thought maybe him and Robert Kraft could have visited massage parlors together. But
they actually own him now.
Yeah, probably. But they're filling them with Ukrainian women too, from what I hear. I don't know that Watson automatically catapults them over the Buffalo Bills. I don't know that Watson propels them over the Las Vegas Raiders or over the Los Angeles Chargers now at this point. But Watson puts them in the conversation at least. And so I 229 going to settlements. I like it.
That.
But I don't believe that just because of how good the AFC got, especially the AFC West, I just can't say that he vaulted them to the top. But he puts them in the conversation at least, and we wouldn't have been having that conversation a week ago.
So I actually find that false, because the reason why the Browns did not make the playoffs last year was because Baker Mayfield was playing on an injured shoulder all season long since week 2, right? So the Browns got a lot better with subtracting a few key guys there. Odell Beckham Jr. gone, instantly got better toward the end of the season. Then you release that other silent cancer killer in Landry Jones, or not Landry Jones, Jarvis Landry, right? So with those two cancers gone, you bring in Amari Cooper. Let's not forget that Amari Cooper was a $100 million man himself in Dallas, right? So then you bring Deshaun Watson with a great running game, and that defense, Combs, is already pretty there. I mean, the Browns are going to win the AFC North. Sorry, Cincinnati fans, that's just the way it is. And the Browns are going to represent the AFC in the Super Bowl.
I don't know that I'm ready to go there. Did Allen Robinson sign anywhere yet?
Not that I'm aware of.
I think he did. I think Allen Robinson did go somewhere. I want to say the Los Angeles. I think the Rams picked up Allen Robinson.
Could have, because they just let go of Robert Woods.
Yeah. So I mean, look, I don't know who that wide receiver is. Maybe it's Julio Jones.
Yeah,
maybe
he
it's
just got cut. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they could pick up Julio Jones. I'm trying to think of other guys who are out there. I think Will Fuller is out there, somebody who Deshaun Watson knows well. And Will Fuller had really good seasons in Houston when Deshaun Watson was his quarterback.
Right.
You've got I'm trying to think of off the top of my head of some wide receivers who are out there.
Let's not think of free agents. Let's look at what
T.Y. Hilton's out there, isn't he? Is he still a free agent?
I'm not for sure on that. He may have retired. He was getting pretty old.
Yeah, I'm just saying. I'm throwing out names that I'm trying to remember off the top of my head. I don't.
We have to look at the draft
as of right now, where it stands right now, with the way the roster sit right now. I would put the Browns fourth in the AFC. I would go Buffalo, Vegas, the Chargers, and then Cleveland, then Kansas City. I put Kansas City down to fifth.
Wow. You are jumping the Raiders up to number 3 by just adding Devontae Adams. That is a lot. They didn't
just add Devontae Adams. They added Chandler Jones. They added Bilal Nichols. Like, they added a bunch of pieces already. And then, yes, adding the best wide receiver in the NFL, yeah.
And they also have a failed head coach.
Oh, stop.
So Alpha Rob says that Amari Cooper is not a number 1 receiver. I disagree with that. I think Amari Cooper is a number 1 receiver with a better quarterback. I don't think the Cowboys utilized Amari Cooper very, very well. Because if we flash back 3 or 4 years ago when he came from the black and silver to Dallas, he was definitely a number 1 receiver. They were giving him the ball. He was executing and doing well, but then they kind of faded off from him.
I agree with Alpha Rob here. Okay. I agree that Cooper's not a number 1 receiver. I think Amari Cooper is better suited as a slot wide receiver than he is as a number 1 wide receiver, or even a number 2. Somebody who is not going to draw the number 1 cornerback, who's not going to get all the attention. But I think on this roster right now, he's the number 1. I don't think there's anybody else in his place. I mean,
let me ask you this question:
who's going to have a good season? I think.
Let me ask you this question. When we hear number 1 receiver, do we think of him playing the actual, the X receiver on the very outside, or the number 1 target on a team? Like, what is your definition of a number 1 receiver?
Number 1 wide receiver is the guy who draws the number 1 cornerback. So you go up against the Rams. Who's Jalen Ramsey covering? Like, it's always the number 1 wide receiver, right?
Right.
So I can't, if you go into a season where Amari Cooper is your number 1 targeted wide receiver, is your number 1 wide receiver on your roster, I think there's an issue there. And I think that's a hole that you'll hate having until you fix it. So if you're them, I mean, look, you can have the Patriots proved you can have a whole slew of number 3s.
Right.
And still win a Super Bowl. So you could have Amari Cooper, Will Fuller, T.Y. Hilton, those types of guys. And you can win with the right quarterback. And I think Deshaun Watson is the right quarterback. So it's really going to remain to be seen. Can they change it? I mean, look, at the end of the day, they're still the Cleveland Browns. And that's still a hard stigma to shake. Like, I just can't picture I can't picture watching Super Bowl Sunday watching the Browns play.
So
I can't picture
what
what
would be
that's like. Can you?
No, because it was weird seeing them in the playoffs, right? Like a couple years ago. So let me address this comment before we wrap the show up here tonight, Combs. Alpha Rob says Diggs is the number one receiver and he always draws double teams. So I went to ProFootballReference.com and I compared Amari Cooper to Stephon Diggs on double teams. Did you know that Stephon Diggs did have 60% of double coverage when he lined up as the outside receiver? When Amari Cooper lined up on the outside receiver, he had 70% double coverage of the time. So that is why Mr. Alpha Rob, that he always quotes disappears, is because he's making his teammates around him better by drawing that double coverage.
I also think that Amari Cooper has been stuck in Dallas in a bad system, right? Like the last, how long has he been in Dallas? 4 years now.
I'm not for sure.
And I think 2 of those years were under Big Red clapping machine, and then the other one is under a coach that is about as good as the clap on a Saturday morning. Those guys are the system that he's been stuck in. Really, I agree with you there, Buck, is that system really hasn't paved the way for Amari Cooper. I just don't think you can't line up Amari Cooper and think that he's going to beat the best cornerbacks in the league. That's not who Amari Cooper is. If you need a guy like that, and those guys, let's face it, I mean, those guys are not a dime a dozen. Number one wide receivers are not a dime a dozen. The Patriots haven't had a number one wide receiver since Randy Moss, and they didn't have a number one wide receiver before Randy Moss. But they still find a way every single year to be relevant, to be in the playoffs, to be going to Super Bowls, winning Super Bowls. That's what the Patriots have done. So if you can take that, if you're Cleveland, I just have a hard time believing that Cleveland can do it. If you can take that and you can make it into a mold and you can repeat what they've been able to do in New England over the last 20 years, you could probably you could find yourself in a Super Bowl again. I can't picture myself on Super Bowl Sunday being like, man, I can't believe it's the Browns versus whoever, like the Browns being the representative of the AFC, the Browns versus the Bucks.
So let me tell you this. If you do not treat Amari Cooper like a number one receiver, he is going to go off on you. You cannot put a number 2 or number 3 or a safety on Amari Cooper and expect to lock him down. And just like what my man Luke G says, I think Amari can beat those corners, but the quarterback needs to trust him to catch it, aka get the ball up and let the ball.
Amari can beat guys like Jalen Ramsey. He can beat number one cornerbacks like Jalen Ramsey because Jalen Ramsey gets beat deep a lot. That's his one weakness is he can't cover deep. But if you run up against those top cornerbacks that can cover deep, you run against those top defenses that do have very good safeties, that's when Amari Cooper is going to struggle because he's not a very strong route runner. So those are the things, those are the beefs that I have. I mean, look, if Amari Cooper gets better at running routes somehow, and if he can draw to where he's in one-on-one coverage, which would be stupid of people to put him in one-on-one coverage.
You are trumping your argument there. You're saying you are stupid to single coverage Amari Cooper, but you're telling me he's not a number one receiver? Like a number one receiver gets double teamed all the time. You're saying Amari Cooper is going to get double teamed.
There's lots of wide receivers that get double teamed that aren't number one wide receivers. What are you talking about? Julian Edelman used to draw double teams all the time. Julian freaking Edelman.
He was the number one threat. Luke G says, who are those top corners that can cover deep?
There are top corners that can cover deep. I'm trying to think of them off the top of my head. You look at Kyle Fuller. Kyle Fuller is a very good deep ball cornerback. I'm trying to think of more off the top of my head. You know how bad I am with names. Hell, the Bills.
It's because there's very really
few. What the hell's his name? White. Forget his first name. Tre'Davious White in Buffalo. He's a very good deep ball wide cornerback. Like there are some guys who, see, there you go. Kyle Fuller, if you don't think Kyle Fuller is not a top cornerback, then I don't know what to tell you, Luke G. I just think you don't like him because he played for the Bears at one point. Kyle Fuller is a top cornerback in this game. There's not very many cornerbacks that you're going to take ahead of Kyle Fuller. You might maybe four cornerbacks before you get to Kyle Fuller.
So Combs, like I see this comment here, and Luke G says, right, LOL. He was referring to me saying that you cannot call Amari Cooper not a number one receiver if you're not double teaming him. What do you say to Luke for that?
You know, I think you can.
It doesn't matter, Combs, because that's how we're going to end the night here on the Man Hour. Luke G gets the last word. My man. Guys, thank you for tuning in to Man Hour. We'll be here tomorrow, 8 o'clock East Coast time. Of course, you got the morning show as well, 6 a.m. Join me. I'll give Combs a call in the morning. Combs, like, you want to talk to me on the phone tomorrow at like 6:30 a.m. Central Time? Or 7:30?
I don't want to talk to you at all.
Okay, whatever. That's it, guys. Man Hour. Have a good night. We out. Combs, any last words?
Man Hour Nation. Rise up.